Am I in? I hear you. Okay, phone should be connected. Okay, I hear you through my computer. Okay, phone should be connected. Okay, I hear you through my computer. The stream is up and running, so maybe I will post to social medias. Phone should be connected. Okay, I'm gonna do that now. Through my computer. The stream is up and running, so maybe I will post to social medias. Okay, phone should be connected. Okay, I'm gonna do that now. My computer. The stream is up and running, so maybe I will post to social medias. Okay, I'm gonna be connected. Okay, I'm gonna do that now. Computer. The stream is up and running, so maybe I will post to social media. Okay, I'm gonna get connected. Okay, I'm gonna do that now. Haha. Maybe I will post
Hey everybody! Welcome to another exciting episode of Wing Commander Birthday. I am Loaf, and I am joined as always by Chris Reed. Say hi, Chris.
Hello, everybody. Still making sure, still trying to figure out where I'm supposed to be looking and what I'm supposed to be saying.
Yeah, we're a little bit dead tired today, so it may not be the most thrilling live stream, but we are happy to see everybody. For this, the 17th? What birthday is this? I'm
27.
27. Okay, I was off by a decade.
You had one of the digits right, so that's good enough.
Alright, that's better. I was too light. Alright, I guess I better check chat to make sure our audio is okay because... Oh, they say it sounds good. That's the first time in history we've ever started the live stream and it has sounded good. Alright, everybody. Well...
Visuals. Does anybody see us or do people just hear us?
I assume they can see us because they would have mentioned that, I hope.
I just see, and I might be looking at the wrong thing. I see the static. I see the static birthday party coming soon image.
Nope, I've got the stream up. We're moving. We're in little boxes. There's a Wing Commander map in back of us.
Nope, I reloaded. That's much better. Okay, now I see us. Hear you. It's going great.
All right. Well, how the hell are you? Heck are you? How the heck are you?
I'm here. I'm happy it's a birthday party. We made it.
Yeah. This has been one of the tougher lead-ups to a birthday. But now we can talk about Wing Commander. So against all odds, it has been a pretty cool year for Wing Commander. We've got the George Oldzier album, which people are finally getting in the mail as we speak. We've done all sorts of things. And it's
new news. I don't think we've even posted about it on the site yet, but if you follow the Kickstarter updates, the vinyl albums are finally shipping. People have been getting the CDs, but the vinyl albums are on the way to George, and then he'll package them up and get them out to people, so it's days and weeks, not months away.
Just under the wire for those tariffs.
Exactly.
I was waiting for the timing. Like, okay, well, it's time for them to ship, and another $180 to actually get them out the door or something. But no, it all seems to have worked out. Well, I did see something on the forums just now. I'm going to share because it's this is something no one in the world will care about except possibly for me. But it's very cool. The background is that there's this device that if you read PC Gamer in like 1994, they used to have these ads for it. It was like the game keyboard that you could plug into your PC, and you could change the settings for different games. So you would put in like a Wing Commander 1, it would be Wing Commander, or so on. But no one ever found one. I got one after 20 years. And mine didn't have the Wing Commander cards, because you had to buy the cards separately. It was all a huge scam. But someone found us on the forums and posted about how they have received the complete collection of these keyboard things with all the graphics, and they're going to be scanning them. And they've been slowly putting them out. They haven't done the Wing Commander ones yet, but they did post like the instruction sheet, and you could see them in the background. So I have here the keyboard and terminal technology Wing Commander graphics, which are so super cool, and I can't wait to see the full ones. But here is the original Wing Commander. We have to peek around it to see it. But you look at this ridiculous nonsense. They've drawn like 30 different Hornets and a fake cockpit, and
wow! After 35 years.
Yeah, so that's
finally revealed.
And there's actually 3 of them for Wing Commander. There's a slip of the Privateer graphics and the Wing Commander Academy graphics. It's just cool Wing Commander art that we're going to see for the first time. This guy's going to scan them all in high res, but cool to see a Tarsus and an Epi and a Hornet. It's cool stuff.
Wow. I'm seeing it on a slight delay than other people. That's
Oh,
very cool.
yeah, that just happened to be on the forums like 45 minutes ago, so I stuck them
Wow.
in the presentation.
Little birthday miracle.
All right, well, what are we going to talk about? We probably should plan this in advance, but
Yeah. Very cool. Well,
yeah,
we've
that
got.
just happened to be on the
Oh
forums.
no, I'm causing there to be audio. Okay. Yeah. Well, we've got lots of news. Oh, sorry. I keep doing that. I think
No
we're
worries.
we're in good shape here.
All right, so one thing I want to talk about this year in particular, because this is my goal for the next few months, calling the shot right now, is Super Wing Commander. My big project for the end part of this year is going to be categorizing everything in Super Wing Commander and kind of making people that never got to play it familiar with this very weird game. Um, so I've set up some Super Wing Commander stuff to show off. And we'll just talk about that here and have a good old Super Wing Commander time.
Yeah, Super Wing Commander is very, very, very cool in so many ways, and I think people just like hear it and they're like, "Oh, maybe is that the Super Nintendo one?" And it's very much not. Super Nintendo Wing Commander is its own magical beast, but Super Wing Commander is Macintosh and 3DO, and so many people ask. Should I wish I had they remade Wing Commander and made it cool with upgraded graphics and all this and that, and they did. So just a few years after it came out, and that's Super Wing Commander.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy story. If you're not familiar with Super Wing Commander, it's a 1994 remake of the original Wing Commander with a bunch of different changes. It redoes all the graphics, changes some of the dynamics of the campaign. It has a new set of missions, but it was only ever released for the 3DO and the Macintosh. And by saying Macintosh, I don't mean like anything like a modern Macintosh. I mean the old pre-Power Mac. It was a 68 whatever. I was not a Mac kid, so I do not understand the terminology. But basically, in 1994, Electronic Arts was heavily invested in the 3DO interactive multiplayer, which was the going to be the next big console. It competed with the original PlayStation, the Saturn, and so on, if anybody remembers any of that. But it was supposed to replace the VCR and all sorts of things like that. It did not replace the VCR, but because the 3DO was created or founded or financed, whatever, by Trip Hawkins, the man that started Electronic Arts heavily invested. And one of the things they did was tell Origin, you guys have to create a new development team and do a Wing Commander game. That's your game that makes money. Do a Wing Commander for the 3DO. And the result was Super Wing Commander, which I think every Wing Commander fan kind of knows about. You've seen the graphics, you've seen Paladin with an eye patch and everybody looking like they're wearing like communist uniforms and all the ships are weird. But I think not so many people have played it, so I thought it would be a cool thing to focus on for the next couple months of hyperfixation.
I think it's like you kind of mentioned it, but it's worth noting that you unfortunately can't just fire it up on your Mac, and
No,
it isn't
Macs,
emulated at GOG. It's not a lot of people have vintage 3DO hardware,
Yeah,
and
this
so
was back in the what do you call it? The Motorola days. So you can't just put it. It's not like a PC where this PC, if I really wanted to, I can install MS DOS on it. But with a Mac, you can't. You can't go back more than a generation or so.
yeah, and so you have some, took some doing to get some emulation going to get it going, and that may be as close as some people get. So it
Well, the good news is
unfortunately
that-
not as user friendly to get it going.
Well, one thing we'll talk about over the next couple months is how to do that. It's actually one of the more affordable retro gaming things you can do is get an old like Mac 7200 or something, because so many schools owned them in the 90s and then sold them out, and nobody wanted them. And I think people still don't want them. But so we'll talk about options for that. I've set it up in an emulator here, which unfortunately does not quite work on my desktop PC. It's too fast, but we'll check it out anyway. And we'll figure out how to get that right as we go forward.
Will it work on one of those colorful iMacs? I could see getting one of those both as a piece of art and to run Wing Commander.
I think so. So those would be perfect for Wing Commander 3 and 4. That's another problem with Macintoshes is Super Wing Commander and then Wing 3 and Wing 4 are kind of separate. They straddle a line. But yeah, any Power PC can run Super Wing Commander, but like the original Wing Commander, it doesn't have a slowdown for the combat, so you end up getting it very fast. But I can show it to y'all right now by bringing up macOS 7.5. I think we didn't even call it macOS back then. But,
what was it? System 7.5.
And here it is right now. I'm running Basilisk 2, which is a very nice Macintosh emulator, but it does not throttle the speed. So we're going to have to find some better options for that. But let me start up Super Wing Commander. Got a cool Drolthy icon here. And let's check out the intro.
And if you don't know, my background here is the Tiger's Claw bar from Super Wing Commander.
Yeah, one of the things about Super Wing Commander is that it was squarely in the everyone in Origin needs to learn 3DS as quickly as possible. So it's all privateer looking 3D. Lion Entertainment was a company that was born out of Origin to do Mac ports. PlayStation stuff later too. They worked on some of the bigger Mac ports of the era.
Enyo System, Vega Sector, TCS Tiger's Claw, Alpha Wing.
Alpha Wing approaching Frosty target. ETA 1 minute.
As you can see, we have this
Check in, Alpha Wing.
Maniac here. Off your starboard, Alpha Leader.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
mother
yeah,
hen.
the rest of the
Roger.
issue in the
Remember what the Colonel
we're
said
not
now,
doing
lads. We've got to get this bogey right off.
Oh, wow.
Or-
Paladin is... I've never seen this. Alright, let's try...
Wow, that's something.
And this clip here...
There's the Tiger's
the
Claw,
shuttle
sir.
landing on
The pride of the Terran fleet. You're lucky to be serving
shuttle
your
model
tour of
from
duty on her, sir.
so some of that Origin small universe stuff.
Well, almost everything you see is from something, right?
Yeah.
The Tiger's Claw doubles. It's the Lexington model from Armada.
Yes.
So whether it was
It's a little bit of a misnomer because people think it's the other way around. They saw Super Wing Commander later, so it must be copying all the model. But Super Wing Commander is actually the product that got all the money, so they had the art time to generate all this stuff, and then games like Armada just grabbed it.
Laddie, take a seat and tilt a glass with old Paladin.
Talk to
I'm
Paladin.
gonna try to figure out why.
Enter simulator.
Oh, maybe we do have sound, and I can't hear it because of our nonsense setup. Okay.
I have
Talk to Alan.
two different
Enter
computers and 6
simulator.
layers of audio happening here.
Yeah, we
As well.
realized at
I
the
get
very
that.
last minute that I didn't have headphones, so I'm talking to Chris Street on the phone so I can hear him, and it's absolute nonsense here
Talk to
today.
Paladin.
But this is
It's actually a miracle there's not some killer echo destroying the audio.
well, we worked hard, but we didn't work smart to fix that. And so
Enter
this is
simulator.
the Tiger's Claw Lounge, just 3 years later, and you have a totally different aesthetic. You can tell it looks like Privateer. Here's the train sim, and you can see they redesigned all the Kilrathi ships. The Salthy ends up becoming the Shulklar in Armada. The Drolthy gets reused for Privateer in the Academy box. The Gratha is the Talon. this is the ridiculous one. It's spinning very fast, but
It's crazy that the Grotha Talons, they look so different, but the Dralty's pretty much the Dralty. Even the Salty's pretty much the Salty.
yeah, I would argue that the Dralty from Privateer actually looks more like the original than the like Batwing ones they did later. It's
Yeah,
still
Dralty
has-
7 is very, very handsome.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where obviously Chris Roberts looked at it and said, "Oh, this is too close to the Battlestar Galactica Cylon Raider. Let's do something. Let's do something that's the Batman car instead." So you can see, unfortunately, it is too fast to quite play today. But I'll go ahead and announce that we will be getting it right, and we'll be streaming the whole game this year in a special mini edition of All Wings Considered.
Belly on up, friend, and
Shot
take a
glass.
load off. You must be Maverick.
These portraits are by
I'm
Sam
Shot
Yates,
Glass.
who is a big Austin portrait
Welcome aboard
artist
the
to
Claw.
this day.
Used to be a pilot
And
myself.
he did
Till
the
the
Wing
flea
3 and
bag
Wing 4
shot me up
box
so
art
bad
also,
I couldn't
the
fly.
paintings.
I guess I flew with most every pilot on
So
the
if you
Claw.
ever looked
So
at
if you
the
want to know
Wing
how
3
one
box art,
pilot
you saw
or
kind of how
another
Mark
flies,
Hamill looks
old Shot Glass
a
is
little
at
bit
my
not Mark
glass.
Hamill.
Stop by when
But he
you're
sure
off
looks
duty
like Mark
and we'll
Hamill
talk
if he were in
more.
Super Wing Commander, and that's why.
Enter simulator.
Barrett.
Talk to Angel.
Angel.
Bonjour, Lieutenant. You are called
And
Maverick,
you can,
no?
they have these
I am
like
called
Soviet
Angel.
style
I'm
uniforms. It's
just
just a crazy
reviewing some
aesthetic all
videos on our
around.
recent encounters with the Kilrati. You would like to know what I
And
have
full
learned,
speech, and
perhaps.
it's different full
The
speech than
Dorothy
the
is the Kilrati
Sega
fighter
CD.
seen most in this sector. These figures show that 1.4
And there's a whole,
meters
head
are
shave
required to
thing
destroy the
that
Dorothy,
is-
Oh, yeah.
while over 7
But
direct
barely.
laser
You have to-
hits
you have
are
to-
necessary to destroy
It's
the
amazing
same
they got that in the
vessel. I hope this
documentation and it wasn't just a
information
weird
is
thing in
useful
the
to you,
in the art
Lieutenant.
department.
Yeah, they updated claw marks for this, and one of the articles they added was to explain that the exo-squatty sci-fi lines in the sides of their heads were to represent people they lost in the war, and they're not going to shave their heads until the war ends. Okay, that's good lore. Not continued anywhere else ever, but...
Talk to Pilot Angel.
here
Enter
is the
briefing room.
barracks. You can see it's the same
View medal.
idea, but definitely a different look. If you played like Pacific Strike, you can definitely have that
Game
same sense
2.
for
Enter
the
rec room.
character
Game
bodies
8.
and stuff.
View medal.
Here is a Wing Commander Space Condom, and I think this is one of the only references to sex anywhere in this entire franchise. But your metal case has your uniform and your coins and your space condom and some kind of headset, I guess.
Game 6.
But they even got the
Game 8.
the bucket. That was too famous
View
to read
medal.
about.
Enter briefing room.
Sean Murphy, who designed the grant for this, said that he was advised not to look at the original ship. So that's part of the idea was they did not want those like anime Robotech designs to be reused again.
Mission briefing in your system.
We've got a lot of
They
work to
also
do, people, so
initially
let's
had
get to
a
it.
much
The Tiger's
bigger
Claw
plan
dropped
to
from
kind of
Jump Space 7 hours
expand and
ago at
redo the game.
0800. Blue
Keep
Devil
going to
Squadron
the-
had
yeah,
first
we'll do a
patrol.
feature on
You
this
Killer
in the future.
Bees have the
But
next
there's
shift.
two
Your
extra
rookies will be
Ennio
flying with
missions that have their
experienced pilots
briefings
on
added
the
to the
first
game.
missions.
You
I want
can't
the
access
rookies to
them,
fly as
but the
wing
material
leaders.
is in the
You
game
best keep an
itself.
eye on the kids out there. Here are the assignments.
So
Maverick, you're leading Alpha.
And then, they had
Spirit
these
will
plans
fly
to
on
do
your
like
wing.
50 different
She's
cutscenes,
quiet,
and
but
they
she
end up
knows
doing
the
4.
ropes. You're the wing
but,
leader, but if Spirit
there
talks,
were
you
big
be sure
goals
and
at the
listen.
start of
Got
this
it?
project.
Yes, sir.
Good, here's your
This was
patrol
supposed
plan
to be
then.
a 3DO launch title.
Computer display
And,
Alpha.
like all
You'll check
origin
3
games,
possible
it,
jump points at about 20,000 clicks
did not
out.
ship
There are
to be a launch
asteroids
title,
near
but
nav
it was pretty
points
early in the
2 and
video.
3, so stay on course.
I
Any
think
questions?
Hi, Commander.
the briefing
What are we
room looks
to do if we
fantastic.
encounter the
You know,
enemy?
Engage
there's
if the odds
you know
look good.
obviously
Let Maverick
people
make
that
the call. Next is Beta
often
Wing.
point out how
Your
things
thoughts
look
wander as
odd
the
or
commander
different
makes the
in
rest
Super
of
Wing
the
Commander
assignment.
specifically.
And
But
back to
the
the
red
Tiger's
briefing room
Claw.
is fantastic,
Remember, this
and
is
that
no train sim. If you
hollow
see the
tank
enemy,
circle
he'll be
table
out to
thing
kill
looks
you.
so much
Be sure
like
you
it
do
does
it
in
to
the
him
Academy
before he
TV
does
show.
it to you.
Yeah, they do this
Squadron
false
dismissed.
perspective thing for the briefing map, which is but it's crazy weird, but it's so imaginative and different. You know, if your complaint about something is is going to end at it doesn't look like Wing Commander 1. Yes, you are right. It does not look like Wing Commander 1. But it looks like something. Something totally interesting here.
Yeah, the suit up thing is something they I mean, it's in a million things, but they kind of do that same thing in Halo, showing the suit being put on.
Yeah, you can see what an interesting time for the game industry, because you could start to do cutscenes in 3D, couldn't quite do people right. So you still have this origin, you still have the origin effect engine with the talking heads, you have an actual portrait artist painting. Everything else is 3DS, and as a result, it avoids any kind of character change. You see the guy in the suit, and that's pretty much it. And here he is, Super Commander. Unfortunately, it is really too fast to fly. But we can see that it's essentially the same as Wing Commander.
The ship looks good.
The ship looks great. The Hornet is really good. There's the Tiger's Claw. One thing people don't understand about Super Wing Commander is that it's not really a graphic upgrade. This is still 320 by 200. It's SVJ instead of VJ, so it's more colors. But it's not like a high-resolution upgrade. It's really a side grade.
Comment from the chat: is there a way to control the game audio, turn the game audio down slightly?
Possibly. Let's. Oh, you know what? I can actually probably do this Macintosh style. See, if you read a Macintosh game, you remember these menus you can access, right? Yeah, let me turn it to halfway down. Now, isn't that a cool aesthetic? That it's just like an original Mac. It's hiding up in top of Wing Commander.
That is very cool.
Super Wing Commander. Also, it's a little droppy at the top. The Super Wing Commander came out of initially a proposal by Warren Spector, who wanted to start porting stuff to the Macintosh. He felt that there was an audience for Macintosh games, and he had this whole proposal where Origin could do Macintosh games cheap, but they had to do them in reverse. Origin's usual system was, we're going to do the fanciest, highest resolution game in the possible. It's going to make your wallet bleed. You're going to have to upgrade your PC. But he looked at the Mac market and said, that's not how the Macintosh market works. There are high-end Mac users, but they don't inspire other people to buy high-end Macs. So if you want to do an Origin game first that sells enough copies to be worthwhile in the Mac, it has to be very low spec. And Super Wing Commander is actually a super low spec game. It's very, very optimized, and it's supposed to run on a Quadra or something. I think that's a thing. Anyway, did that fix the audio, I guess, is what I should have asked. But I will show you here. One of the results of this being first a console game and then backported to the Macintosh is that some of the systems that are naturally in the cockpit in the original no longer are. So if you want to see your comm screen, like here, if you have to pause to see your comm screen.
Oh.
But it has all the shortcuts in flight, so if you know.
Form on my wing.
My honor is to obey.
But if you want to eject, you have to go to the nav map.
That's something that the Super Nintendo managed to get these commands all into that controller.
They got Super Nintendo got everything into the VDUs, which they did not do here. You can see they shrank the VDUs to give you more play space in the center of the screen. And they also have them angled. They have the graphics intentionally angled to give you this sense of depth instead of just being head on. But the result is there's a lot less usable screen space on the VDUs.
Mm-hmm. You guys never thought about that? Yeah, they are at kind of an angle there.
And you can see we've got the same animation for flight. We've got the same backdrops. And here's the truck. Very, very fast. And just like Wing Commander 1, you really only ever see the Karathi in the VDU. You actually see the Karathi less because you don't get the cutscenes. cutscenes are all replaced by vehicle stuff. You know, you see ships flying around. But even in spite of that, Hobbs makes a cameo. Prince Thrakath makes a cameo. There's all this stuff from the later games that they snuck in here. Ah, now it's crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And here's the funeral. Also CG. Oh, and your name is Armstrong by default here. The cockpits are pretty cool in Super Wing. They don't quite have that Dennis Lubay aesthetic, but they're good. The Dralthi is weak because this has Super Wing Commander has Wing Commander 1, it has Secret Missions 1, and it has something called Campaign 2, which fans have kind of named Secret Missions 1.5. Oops, where did my Mac go? There it is.
No coffin or anything. Just chucked out in your suit.
Yeah, you're in like a weird cocoon or something. But that is Super Wing Commander, and we're going to play through it on actual hardware if we can't get this to work this next couple of months. It used to be when if you had like a G3 or something, you could set it to the slowest graphics mode and it would be playable, but apparently my desktop is just too good.
Yeah, it's probably not too challenging to get a capture card, and then if you have the original hardware.
Here's the it's got a digital version of the manual. Here is the bit that explains the hair, the end of the claw marks. And look at this crazy Macintosh manual reading thing we've got here. It's
wow.
I was saying, they reworked claw marks. They added a bunch of stuff that then some of that ended up in the Kilrathi Saga version. So you've got the original news stories, but you also have a story about Maniac becoming an ace, escorting the Bonnie Heather in the curse. It's just like a Mad Libs of Wing Commander words in there. And you've got an article about the guys from the Austin coming to the Tiger's Claw to check as part of the tactical plotting program. So, good lore in there. This is also where the Terran Knowledge Bank comes from. There's, but even better than the, I can switch from that to, I've got a browser here. We can look at the real manual. Did that show? Yes, okay. So here's the original 3DO manual for claw marks, the original claw marks. This is the Confed logo that they came up with for Super Wing. All those early games were really reluctant to show, like, what is Confed's logo? What is the Kilrathi logo? They came up with them, but they never did any media that told you what they were. So here's the Confed logo for the Super Wing Commander imagining of the look of everything. And if you look at like the Hornet, it's on the wings as a roundel. Same old update from Aaron Alston. Here's the actual version of the news with some 1990. This is some Babylon 5 looking layout. Jazz is Doomsday, Taggart's Tactics. And look, they didn't even update the graphics to the ships. There's still the original Salty and the Scimitar in there. They used this updated version also for the Sega CD port, which used the original graphics. And it was that same year, which I think was a case of it was Electronic Arts or Game Arts developing that and needing a manual, and Origin said, here's our current one. Because this was one of the first Origin manuals that was born digital and could be reused and reformulated. You know, the original claw marks was paste and glue. But I think the thing I wanted to show here was the ships, and we'll see if we can figure out where they all came from. Hornet, that's totally original design. The Rapier is an original design. You've probably seen the Wing Commander Arena version that was heavily inspired by this, which I think is one of those cases of like Wikipedia learning, because we told them, "Oh, use a rapier," and then they looked up what a rapier was, and they found somebody going on about the Super Wing Commander one, which not what we intended, but it's a cool design anyway. And here's one that'll look familiar. The scimitar is the Banshee from Armada. It's also used. The front part is used for the Demon in Privateer, and the Phantom in Armada.
It's crazy how it's not even just like one reuse. It's
chopped
up and used all over.
There's artists back then had to use every part of the animal because it would take days and days and days to render a ship like this. They were under the gun. And then here's the Raptor. The Raptor is the this is a reuse here. This was originally the Gladius in Privateer, and then it shows up in Armada also. The Venture, original model, but a very cool one with these. It's actually a lot easier to, if you read Milk Run, it's a lot easier to imagine this being the ship they're on rather than the original. There's more bulk to it. The Drayman, it's like a crazy Babylon 5 thing. Exeter, you're thinking, oh, this is a totally new design, but I believe the hull is actually the Saber from Wing Commander 2, just retouched and given new art, had its wings cut off. Tiger's Claw we talked about, Salthy, Dorothy. There's the Krant by Sean Murphy. The Grotha is the one that really sticks out because we've all killed so many Talons. That just breaks a classic player's brain because, like, oh, that's a... Yeah. I mean, so much so that it is the image of Privateer they use in Privateer 2 when they needed a cameo. So, but here it is as a Grotha. Jalthi is an update of the the Jalki model from Wing Commander 2, but it's pretty significantly retextured. The Dorkier is just a bunch of balls. Rolari and Feralthi are totally original. The Lumbari, this was actually a model that was designed for Wing Commander 2. Wing Commander 2 was originally supposed to have 2 human transports and 2 Kilrathi transports. And the idea was supposed to be that one was civilian and one was military. And they kept it for Confed. They've got the civilian ones like the Bonnie Heather, and then the military ones like the Clydesdales. And the Lumbarian, it was called the Lumback originally. It was cut from Wing 2, but retextured for Super Wing. Salthy, or Seavar, looks like a weird teardrop thing. The Snake Ear, you're going to see the Snake Ear and you're going to say, oh, that's the Shirak from Wing Commander Armada. And it is, but it's actually also a K-Mech. It's the K-Mech from Wing Commander 2 and Wing Commander Prophecy with the wings taken off and like a bay added to the bottom. And the supply depot and so on. But that's the that's claw marks. You can see all the updated characters. And my fascination with this was, I remember when this came out in 1994, and I was so desperate to play it, that this guy, the kid that hated me in middle school, I'm absolutely sure that he bought it for himself just to taunt me. And I remember we had like first period French together in 7th grade, and he was like, oh, well, you can read the manual today if you want. And I was like, yes. So I went and hid in the storage room near the lunchroom at my old middle school, and I spent the entire day hand copying down all the stuff that was different from this claw marks. And that was my insane first experience with Super Wing Commander. And I think a couple years later, that was the only time I ever skipped school in my entire life. And a couple years later, I actually sent a copy to our friend Dunderdall, who was a Macintosh boy, and he was going to grab screenshots so I could see what it looks like, which I don't think ever happened, but I was glad he got to play it. And he ended up giving me the joystick that I play with now. He had a Mac joystick that he sent me years later. So. friendship. This is a great nerd thing. They've added the clans for the Karathi Aces, so Darkathnar, Shikag, and so on. Still got the original art for the medals, even though we don't. They look totally different in this one. Anyway, that is Super Wing Commander, and there's the shaving off the old block part. It's on the last page, right before we hit the credits.
Is there any connection between the Star Post Supply Depot and the Perry Naval Base or Star Trek Star Base we were talking about recently?
Which one?
The Karathi.
The Star Post?
Yeah.
No, I think this is a unique model. It looks like... Actually, I just looked into this recently, because it looks like the one from System Shock, but it's not. I actually went and checked this recently. It's very much the Origins space station look. It goes with the Citadel Station. It goes with Perry Naval Base. It goes with the orbital planet at the start of BioShock. But I think they are all distinct meshes. Well, I've been talking about a manual for 40 minutes. Surely there's something more exciting to... So, how are you doing? Any exciting Wing Commander accomplishments recently?
Think about that.
While you think about that, I'm going to answer Vera's question from chat, which is that in Super Wing Commander, you're canonically Maverick. And yes, your call sign is Maverick in Super Wing Commander. And I guess we could talk about the whole process of how that came to be. But Maverick was Chris Roberts' call sign. So early on when you see it, that's kind of people trying to suck up to Chris Roberts. But this may be the first time you actually get called Maverick in the game. There's one there's a reference to the Wing 3 novel. Prophecy just uses the Inflict call sign. Wing Commander Academy calls him Maverick all the time. But the Wing Commander... Karathi Saga slugs it in when you start a character. But if you actually go back and watch the Wing Commander movie, he's never called Maverick. Chris Roberts knew enough not to have his Top Gun fighter pilot be named Maverick, but nobody else did.
Did it show up on any nose art or anything? That gets
no. It doesn't say Maverick on Blair's nose art either. I think it's in the novelization, but not in the movie itself, and then not in the later books. But your last name is Armstrong here. This was before they had locked down you being named Blair. And because they just go with Armstrong because that's a space name. But you're Maverick Armstrong, whatever that means. Is he different from LaFong and Blair? We don't know.
Yeah. So I think to answer your question, I have been picking up remedial things like promotional Wing Commander card game Blair card and lobby cards, things that keep coming up on eBay for dirt cheap. Nobody's buying them. I don't want them to end up in the trash.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
I've been working on a lot of just random nonsense, trying to fill my life with Wing Commander whenever I can. Yeah, you can show some spreadsheets if you want to see my collection of spreadsheets while we kill some time. Can we see this? This is something I came up with for... Oops. You can't really see it. I didn't plan this, so... But this is a spreadsheet I'm putting together that's the service history of all the Confed fighters, trying to unravel that history. And it's, I shouldn't even show that because you can't see the names. Alright, never mind that one. Oh, I've got a copy of Super Wing Commander right here. And I grabbed it because I wanted to show the real game on the stream, but I realize now that it's actually So this was not released in Europe. The Mac version was not released in Europe, but it was available in Japan. The 3DO version got 4 releases.
Oh, very cool.
Here, there, full localization in Japanese. Oh, I think we didn't point this earlier, but the dork here is the Kilrathi Star Post from Wing 2 retextured. And it's not quite clear why it moves like that. There's no visible engines. And see if there's anything cool in here.
Maybe somebody thought it looked like cargo modules or something like that.
The weirdest thing is that it has Roman letters on it. It's something like NC4 if you look at the textures. They're not quite visible in the game, but they are if you look at the model. So maybe it was originally supposed to be a Drayman and they changed it to the Drolthi or the Dorkier.
What about the battle cruiser from Armada? Doesn't that have some? Did that end up with human writing on it? Maybe not.
Armada.
No, sorry, Arena.
Oh, yeah. I think for the version we saw early had human writing, and I think it's not in the final.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of it. Maybe not.
I think we called that out specifically, and they fixed it. I'm buying lots of vinyls. They're everywhere. You see them on eBay, and you're like, "Oh, somebody's selling a Wing Commander theatrical vinyl for $4. I'll get it." And then you realize you have like 12 of them.
Yep, exactly. It's the same thing I get stuck doing.
I got a tiny book about Freddie Prinze Jr. Just some Scholastic Book Fair shit. I went on a bender buying like cheap books about Freddie Prinze Jr. that they would have sold to like kids in 1999, and this is the cutest one.
Thought it was cool that he name dropped Wing Commander in his what you did last summer.
Oh yeah, he was really pressed for whatever movie that was, and he.
What you did last summer?
I think so. The new one, maybe.
Do another one of those? Yeah.
But he name dropped Wing Commander, and he said, "Oh, he wished they could have done another one," which is a totally different story than he. Freddie Prinze Jr. is. I think the key to this is that he's a big wrestling fan. He writes for wrestling, and he has this whole key fob situation in his head that he takes to every press encounter when he wants to. He picks all sorts of fights with Star Wars people, and he kind of tells people what they want to hear with the drama they want to hear. So for years he would be like, "Oh, the Wing Commander was awful. They tricked us into making it." But now it's, "Oh, Wing Commander was great. They should have made that." So. And we'll have a message from a member of the Wing Commander cast in just a little bit.
We have a question from the chat. Harold,
oh, yeah. Answer questions in the chat, please.
Harold asks, Did the Wing Commander setting ever get expressed in tabletop gaming? Is anyone 3D printing ships from the Wing Commander universe?
There are some good 3D printing folks out there. There's not a tabletop game. It would be awesome if there were. Origin tried that in comics and they never worked out. There's a TCTG, which came out in 1995 after Wing 3. It's a very cool game, but it's an ancient collectible card game. It's hard to get into today. But that's about as close to the tabletop gaming world as Wing Commander ever got.
I still think it's a phenomenal collecting experience, even if you're not going to play it. Just being able to make a set.
It is, and the Ultima fans have a game too, and they don't even talk about it because they don't want to bother collecting it. But I love that stuff.
Yeah.
But Wing Commander does have this huge connection to the tabletop world, especially the first couple games. Origin was part of that same sort of a hippie artist nerd collective that went right alongside Steve Jackson Games. Some of Origin's early games were adapting Car Wars and Omega and stuff to electronic ports, and they share all these people. The Wing Commander universe owes so much to Aaron Alston, who was the writer who did the original Claw Marks and kind of set up the universe we all got into. And he was, a huge writer for RPGs, Star Wars stuff. David Ladyman, who ran Origins Publications Department for years and years, was straight out of that world. He worked on, GURPS, worked for FASA, all those pen and paper houses that were so big in late 80s, early 90s. And there's a huge spirit of that. He would hire writers from that world to do the manuals and stuff. So that's why you get that flavor, and why it's extra disappointing that they never did, a tabletop game or an RPG or something. Maybe someday. There are some great fan stuff out there. I know Cappy has one people love, and there are all sorts of ships you can get on Etsy now. The 3D printing has helped fans, at least.
Yeah, 5-6 years ago, thereabouts, people were doing a ton of 3D printed miniatures, painting them. I don't even fully understand the games they were playing, but they were going to tabletop gaming conventions and setting up big elaborate spreads. It looked incredible.
Zyphajod,
Yeah.
Zyphajod, I can't say that name. I don't know that anyone can. But he asks if Shotglass still describes the Jalthi as having big old bullseye exhausts. And yes, all the dialogue is identical. In fact, this is one of the things I'm posting later today on the site, is we've got copies of all the scripts that let you compare them in a spreadsheet. So you can see how they censor the game for like the Super Nintendo version. And you can see that there's almost no changes for Super Wing Commander. It's almost all additive. They kind of sneak stuff in to do as a preview for Super Wing Commander 2. So you'll have like a conversation with Maniac, and then he has a part at the end where he mentions stealth fighters or the Austin being around or something. So they added little bits of dialogue, but almost all the original dialogue is still the same as it is scripted in Wing 1. Now the problem is there's no audio for Secret Missions 2 because they didn't adapt Secret Missions 2. Sega CD didn't port Secret Missions 2, so we could backport all this stuff to a PC version, and I think we will now with this incredible speed thing we have. But there's just no canonical audio for Secret Missions 2. So if you are out there in chat and you're listening to us ramble on until 8, please let us know if you have any questions. I haven't looked at YouTube in a bit. I better see.
It's I see people have been coming and going the whole time, but I see there's 26 people watching, which
that's more than I would not be watching.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how do we know it's 26 people? Kind of expect the 5 or 6 people we hang out with every day to be the ones watching.
Yeah, I didn't have high hopes this year. I just kind of wanted to make it through this year, which is, I guess, the watchword for everybody right now. But
yeah,
there's the keyboard again. Look at all those hornets. That made my day.
Yeah, that's very cool. It's not exactly the same, but on the order of like custom keyboard stuff. Prophecy got that one like flexible vinyl.
Yeah,
keyboard cover that was very cool in its own way. It was just kind of a wraparound that went over a traditional keyboard.
In fact, I have high-res scans of that. I have to put them on the site somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of them have survived. I've got the one you sent me, and it's like wrapped in plastic and kept away from light because they all became just brittle. But I do have the scans, and I've always wanted to go back and make a physical keyboard with keycaps to match it, because it's this totally garish thing. I actually have one for a Privateer also from the earlier. It was from back from 93 or so. It was literally just a cardboard thing you could order that you would put on your keyboard, and it would like surround the keys, and it looks like a fake space cockpit. It's the stupidest product, but I would love to know if there are any others out there. It's one of those things you see advertised in like the back of CGW.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, like the way certain things deteriorate. For the Wing Commander movie, there was a Halloween mask, but then like armor pieces that went around your shoulder.
Pieces all.
The armor pieces just like melted into each other after about 10 years. Man, the masks, if anybody has them, still should be
up there,
decent. But yeah, they're right there. But yeah, the shoulder armor that turned into goo.
Yeah, well, that's us too. We're all getting very old and turning into goo.
Yeah, at least I have a picture somewhere of me wearing that as my Halloween costume in high school, upper 20 years ago.
Oh, and we should talk about Movie Club, because that's one of the... It was just kind of a dumb idea that we started doing. We're like, hey, we should have a time where we're all together hanging out and chatting, and you did kind of a rubric for our nerd brains. So we started Wing Commander Movie Club. We are in week 42, I think, is next week.
Yeah, about 42.
And it's been great because we watched all these movies, and some of them are like, the movies we grew up with and love, and we get to appreciate how they're connected to Wing Commander and just enjoy them again. And some of them are stuff we'd never have thought to watch. So it's been a good mix, and it's really cool activity, and we've got another year worth in the can. So please come on Friday nights for a Movie Club. It's a lot of fun. If you're like us, you're kind of a lonely nerd who needs some friends to just dork around with, you are welcome.
Yeah, I would say about half of them I've never seen, even though most of them are iconic in some way. And yeah, sometimes it's revelatory how they influence other things. And
in fact, I've got
good,
I've got a
good
spreadsheet
experience
for this. I can.
Yeah, last night was Exorcist, which is I have seen that one, but kind of a classic.
It's kind of an example. Like, that's a movie I probably wouldn't have watched on my own, but tell me how it's connected to Wing Commander and get my friends in there, and it's a good night. There's our movies we've watched so far. See?
Someday we'll have to figure out how do we connect new movies, modern movies from 2000 and beyond to.
Yeah, because we're pretty much stuck at 1999 or so.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find an interview about Arena where like Sean Penny talks about something, but probably not. Yeah, it's been a good list, and next week is Apollo 13, so that should be a lot of fun. Oh, I realize now what I can do to show this spreadsheet. Let me... If I simply... There we go. Now you can see the ships. Almost. One more. It's time for spreadsheet fun. But you can see here what I've done is arranged all the ships that are mentioned either in the novels or in the games. I've given them their designation where we know it, so you can see kind of how those go together. And then I've marked when we absolutely know they're in service, and then when left. It's coming up with an interesting picture. That's not how you assume from playing the game. Like, a lot of the Wing 2 and 3 ships are around at the same time. A lot of the timeline we never see, but there's this whole lineup of ships from action stations and the Confederation Handbook stuff that would at least fills out the idea of what the lore is then. So if anybody out there is like a 3D person and you want to work with me to develop these original ships, we'll do I'll art direct it, and we can do the original half dozen Confederation ships from when the war started, which is what I used to do at Cloud Imperium. I would come up with the ship, and then I would work with the artist to figure out how it should actually look good. So if anybody has talent and wants to do that, we'll figure out what the Minotaur and the Hurricane and stuff look like. All right, no more spreadsheets until I think of another one.
Is that the Google spreadsheet?
Yeah, Google
app?
Docs. I just use it for everything. Let's see if there are any other
we have
chats.
some
Sarah
Microsoft Office
says
problems.
that Super Wing Commander looks a lot like Privateer, which is true. It's a lot of the same guys, and a lot of people that did Super Wing Commander then went on to do Wing 4 and Prophecy and so on. Origin had kind of a caste system for development. Chris Roberts made all the money, so he got the first choice of any of the talent. So the absolute like hot shot, top of the top industry guys that went to work for Origin in 1993, 1994, all got stuck on Strike Commander, Wing Commander 3, and so on. And then they all went off and started their own companies. But the guys that were responsible for doing console stuff and porting, they were the bottom rung of everything. This was the guys nobody else wanted. But they all really proved themselves, and so many people came up through the ranks, starting on this like satellite teams like Super Wing Commander, and then went on to do stuff like Prophecy once the lead slots had opened up.
Yeah, a lot of the Prophecy team, like Billy Joe Kane and people, started on ports and things like that, right?
Yeah. In fact, I think Billy actually started at the Super Wing Commander, not Super Wing Commander, the Strike Commander, the rush to get it out. They hired so many folks. They had a position called a TDA. We call it an assistant designer now, but Origin hired TDA after TDA after TDA to get Strike Commander out the door, and they kept the good ones, and they figured out what they actually did after that. Everyone's saying how great Movie Club is.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on? Are there other mediums besides movies that would translate into a regular event? Video game club?
Yeah,
Or-
well, I'd love to do a book club again. We did it for a while when we were doing All Wings Considered, and we kind of bundled everything together. But I'd love to go back to having some night where we do Wing Commander Book Club. My dream would be to go beyond just the Wing Commander novels and do stuff that's referenced in Wing Commander, but that may be... I have a degree in English literature. No one else does, and I don't think anyone else would enjoy that. But if anybody wants to read like the Song of Roland because Paladin mentions it in Claw Marks, I am down. No, book game club would be cool. I'm gonna do a thing where we play Super Wing Commander this year. I don't know what else. It's good to hang out, but it's hard to find room for that these days.
Yeah. I mean, movies are perfect because they're very passive and, an hour or two, 2 hours or so, and, very self-contained.
Yeah, it's a nice fixed thing. You know when it's going to be over. It's a nice, easy experience when life is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, it's time. It's 8 o'clock, so we're supposed to update the front page.
Yes. Let me see. AD was working something. I'm not quite sure if that's ready to go. One way or another here, we are moments away from go time.
And this is not the most exciting one. Sometimes we find source code and lost games and whatever. We don't have any of that this time. This has been a struggle to get to the end. But there's some fun stuff that you're going to play with, and we've got some cool plans for the year ahead. They Call Me Grim says we should do a Space Above and Beyond watch, and we absolutely should.
Oh.
In fact, I've been... Yeah, we should do like the pilot of Saab on one of those Saturday streams. I've got a couple more of those I want to do too. TV stuff. Watch. I always feel like I'm imposing setting those things up. Like I'm forcing all these people to watch Wing Commander stuff. We're just waiting for a file.
Yeah, I think I can help get that ready, and that will round out what we have. So,
all right. Well, we'll be launching the updates in just a moment. I will bring back Super Wing Commander until we get there. So this is what people had instead of Windows. So many README files. Kill board. If you're as deep into the background of how the kill board works as I am, you will be interested to. You'll notice, obviously, this is the Secret Missions 2 kill board. They forgot to reset it to Wing Commander 1 when they made Super Wing Commander. Oh, I should check the sound. Maybe it's loud again. Let's see. Nope. No, in fact, our sound is off? Question mark. Whee! Where's that map? You bring up the map with C, like it's comms. Another thing that's cut from Super Wing that people I think don't appreciate is the cameras. There's no side views, there's no rear view. There's just the front view because they reduced everything to work on a 3DO joypad with 5 buttons. 3 buttons? 5 buttons.
Excuse me, Commander. I have noticed enemy ship ready to engage.
If you ever look at Super Wing pictures in magazines, you'll often see an example of how they kind of created it, layering it on top of the original PC version. Because you'll see screenshots that still have the old VDUs from the demo they sent to retailers. The plan was that I was going to play through some Super Wing Commander tonight, but unfortunately I set up my laptop, which worked fine, and now we have this very, very fast version instead, so we're just killing time. And you can see this. One thing you might notice very quickly here is that this is built on the Wing 2 engine rather than the Wing 1 engine. You can see it's got stuff like the ITTS, which were not present in Wing 1. I also love... I don't love that you have to do this, but I love that you can. Since you can't see the weapon selection or the gun selection in the cockpit, you instead have this screen here with a nice detailed view of the ship that shows what they are. But again, you have to pause to see that. You can just hit W to change them, and you get the text there. But you don't get that cool ship graphic like that. If I were using some really lame Mac, I could do this. Make the screen much smaller to render faster. Which is not something I need to do here, if anything, the opposite. Yeah, looks like I installed Wing Commander 3 at some point. I assume... Yeah. Does not actually work. There's a separate emulator you can use for Wing 3 and Wing 4, which is called Sheepsaver, which emulates a PC, Power PC. But I didn't put one out. Bring it over here. One thing I also want to do this year is take a closer look at Wing 3 and 4 Mac, because on the surface they seem like they're very, very close to the PC releases. But I was playing the Wing 4 Mac demo recently, and I was noticing that it was actually pretty different than the PC demo. So I want to go back and see if there's stuff we're missing there. You know, the 3DO version of Wing 3 gets all sorts of credit because it adds missing scenes and new ships and things. So I'm wondering, is there anything in the Mac version? Don't you miss README files?
I do.
This is all Greek to me. When you get to the point where you have to learn what Finder is, I'm very confused on old Macs. Alright, how's that file coming?
Got the text in, the video embedded, and so we are moments away. Very close.
You know what? I will download this video as well so we can show it on the stream. Oops, I've got a visitor, I think. Hi, sweetie. And my cat Lumi is here meowing at me. She doesn't understand why I'm talking to a computer instead of a cat. Oops. Alright, I put the video on the stream if we want to watch it after all this comes out.
Okay, I think that's a wrap there. And so we got people ready. The update slate's good. We got... Ooh, I think we're about ready to do a countdown.
Alright, well, I'm ready when you are. Oh,
Okay, go ahead. I've got the button queued up, so go ahead and count down, and then we can count down with everybody that wants to in the various chat rooms, and we'll hit the button.
Yeah, you know what? Let me bring up Chrome here so we can... Okay. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right,
go!
Here we go.
Woo! Happy birthday! Yay! Woo! Okay. And here we have some WC News updates.
Okay. You can reload. And now I can go. Now it seems like I have broken the menu, so
that happens.
Go figure out what I did.
Well, in all of this, we do have two... Oh, wow, you really broke the menu.
Yeah, let me fix that. I see where it's broken.
Well, we do have two cool videos here we want to share. One of them is from Leha, and one of them is from AD. And the first one is a video... So I'll do Leha first, who was kind enough to get us a cameo from a true Wing Commander celebrity. And we'll just play that right here. This is a cameo from Hugh Quarshie, who played Mr. Ubuntu in the Wing Commander movie. So enjoy.
And you can reload now. The menu should be fixed.
Hey guys, this is Hugh Kwashi, aka Lieutenant Obutu. At least I think that was my name. It might have been Lieutenant. Now you want me to cast my memory back about, 35 years to 1999 to tell you about Wing Commander the movie. I hadn't realized that it acquired such cult status. We filmed it in a studio in Luxembourg. Not the nicest studio, has to be said. There's about one toilet for 200 guys. You can imagine how that went at lunchtime. But it was an enjoyable experience. I went there with my friend Fraser James and another British actor called Craig Kelly, and struck up a friendship with David Suchet, now who played the captain. Was it Sansky? Was that his name? It's been a while. Now the original script had him down as a pilgrim, as I recall, as of course were Checky Cario and Freddie Prinze Jr. But I guess because it ran over, it was Chris Roberts who had invented the game, and this is his first time out as a director, so I guess he could do what he liked. That was cut, and it became kind of a straightforward narrative as to the captain's demise, and Freddie Prinze's character taking over. Can't remember his name. The casting of Jürgen Prochnow was curious because, as you probably know, he'd captained the submarine in Das Boot, the film, the Second World War series. As you know, in space no one can hear you scream, but they can apparently hear you drop a spanner in the spaceship. I think they wanted, by casting Jürgen, they wanted to have that resonance of the submarine having to keep it really quiet when the ship was passing over. It didn't make a whole lot of sense in deep space, but yeah, what the hell. This is movie world. Saffron, I got on with fine, and Ginny Holder. Ginny was the other pilot. She and Matthew Lillard's character, Maniac, they got it on the movie. Ginny curiously became my wife in a TV medical drama series some years later, and I'm still working with her today in another series called The Capture. What else can I tell you? It was a lively filming, watching Checky Cario interact with Chris Roberts. Checky's a bit of a perfectionist, or as is Chris. And sometimes they didn't always see eye to eye. But I think the end result was pretty interesting. Look, if I think of anything else, I'll send a postscript. But I'm glad you asked. I hadn't realized that it had proved so popular with so many people. Anyway, that's it for now. I hope this was interesting, if not useful. Ubuntu out.
Yeah, that was Mr. Ubuntu from the Wing Commander movie. He was the Tiger's Claw navigator. You probably know him better from Highlander or Phantom Menace, but Leha thought to get a cameo from him, and I thought that was super cool. We really appreciate it. Now, our other clip here is a new part of a project we'll be releasing in the pretty near future, but it's something AD has been working very hard on, which is a new cut of the Wing Commander movie using material from the original work print and some other places to try to restore it to the original idea before it got cut down. And he has sent us a clip that is the first 7 minutes. So I can try to run that, and we'll see if it breaks our YouTube. This is my first time.
The Pilgrim
seeing
Wars
this,
ended 20 years ago. Nobody knows how they started. The history books describe it as the Civil War to end all wars. 3 billion dead, and the destruction of the Pilgrim homeworlds. All that was left was hate. I should know.
Chris Roberts felt this didn't work. He tried so hard to get the money to shoot a scene before this to show, like, until the Karathi bomb the glass and everyone gets sucked out. It would have been a cool scene, but I don't know that it would have changed the movie. And I think this works really well. All in cut where he put absolutely everything he could in the script. It's like 2 hours and 45 minutes long or something. Through a series of accidents, it accidentally became the copy of the Wing Commander movie that's on my dad's Plex. So I'm just waiting for him to finally actually...
Logos just like etched into the wall.
The logos are everywhere. The different the beta cloth patches.
Did we get suspended?
Oh, did we get YouTubed? Oh no. Well, they can't hear us anyway.
Can nobody hear us?
No, we're offline. Alright, I probably have to go to YouTube and answer an email or something.
Can we go live from the CIC Facebook YouTube channel?
Oh no, it's not. It didn't ban me. I just have to restart the stream, I think.
Okay.
After copyright material is no longer being streamed, streams are automatically re-enabled. So theoretically, start streaming. Says we're still alive, but and we're back. Sorry about all the copyright violations, guys. You'll have to let me know if you can hear me. Also, Chris Reed disappeared during the break. But, you can see that's one of the reasons we're having trouble figuring out exactly how to premiere this thing. But we're working on some bespoke stuff where we will stream it through the CIC instead of YouTube once it's time for everybody to watch the entire movie. But now I don't have anyone to play off of at all. Better go to chat. How's everybody doing tonight? How was your year in Wing Commander? My typing does sound fake. The Liquid is right. I type about 125 words a minute. I'm not bragging about that. It's just because I played so many Sierra games as a kid, which my mom thought would teach me to type, and it sure did. Everybody is creeped out when they see me type for a while. And of course I love these big clicky keyboards, so it just makes the problem worse. Yes, we are back online, and it did turn out that it was not sharing the Wing Commander movie, but it was Chris Reed was the copyright violations. We had an illegal Chris Reed. YouTube sent a guy, and now it's just me. Well, while we wait for Chris to get back, I'll show off some random objects, I guess. I've got an Origin Christmas bauble Is that what these are called? Do these have a name? Are they just ornaments? Anyway, it's an Origin one. What else do we have here? Oh, here's one I picked up recently I need to scan. The hint book for Zero Pilot, the weird Japan-exclusive Pacific Strike sequel for the PlayStation 1 that no one knew about. And this book is beautiful. It's got this amazing airplane art in it. I have learned nothing about why this exists, but I got the hint book. So that's a future update. Here is Wing Commander 1 and the secret missions for DOS V, which was the version of DOS 5 that had Japanese language support. Japanese character support, I guess you're saying. Chris is back. Hey, Chris. They let us back after our...
okay. Seems like it's the same link and everything.
It
so
is,
we're
yeah,
just,
nothing
just
changed.
back in business.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just killing time by showing off random objects around me. I've got a Moopsie. Yeah. I may have lost some of my broadcasting ability over the last year. Maybe I'm just very tired. Let's see those keyboards again. I can't wait to see these in full. He's doing like gigabyte-sized scans of them, so I guess we can recreate the art. So, looking forward.
Very cool.
What's our next year going to be like?
Our next year. Well, there's stuff we know about and can talk about, and there's stuff we know about and can talk about that's going to be very, very cool.
There are some things we can't talk about yet.
So I can promise that there will be so much so much Wing Commander excitement out there, and you'll know it when you see it.
Like pornography.
And I know I say that every year, but it's always true, but it's even more true this year. So
no, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna get the wiki back on its feet. We're just gonna do some interesting things. We're gonna watch a lot of movies. Maybe I'm gonna force people to read a book at some point. But do you guys like doing the Saturday thing? Because we could do another Saturday. I've got a whole list of stuff we could show.
I think the Saturday thing is good on like a monthly basis.
Yeah, that's
maybe
what I
not
was
every
thinking.
Saturday.
Like once every 4 weeks or something.
Mm-hmm. And I do think there's something there with some kind of game night, game morning, something game related, possibly.
Yeah. We just got to figure out what that means. They call me Grimasters. That's the first time the birthday stream has ever been slapped offline. I think it is. I think that's the first time we've ever gotten kicked offline like that. I'm actually kind of happy with YouTube's process. They don't like ban you or anything. They just wait for the clip to stop, and that's fair. Yeah, we have the clip streaming without YouTube on WCNews.com if you want to check it out, without us talking over it and in full resolution.
Yeah, we continue to really benefit from just having our own dedicated server. We have a bunch of stuff on YouTube and different places, but we don't depend on it. Everything is the ability to be independently archived and hosted from our site.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been doing a lot this year, is making sure every video we have is on the CIC server. Because YouTube is great for discovery or for reference for regular folks, so we want to keep using it for anything we kind of present in the news, but we also want to make sure that you have access to the full resolution, uncensored content out there. So, do we have anything else to talk about? Like what? I'm sorry, everybody. We're very tired.
It is a miracle that we had a stream today, given the many things going on this week, and I'm having a great time. I'm not great at multitasking, so as I am myself looking at the chat room and the content that we posted.
Yeah, I don't know how these kids do streams 12 hours a day.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not
fun, but
actually
it's
good
exhausting.
at talking and continuing to narrate.
Targ Without Heart says Richard Gibbs was the original composer for the Wing Commander movie, and that is true. He was the they announced it as Richard Gibbs, and dropped him in favor of Arnold and Kiner. We're not sure if he actually composed any music, but he might have. Well, I could talk about some of the CIC stories I'm working on right now, because I got about a dozen articles that are in various stages of disassembly, just lore stuff. I started writing this big piece on slavery in the Wing Commander universe a few months ago, and I keep going back to it, and it's become a monster. I've got this biography of Paladin that mixes in all the disparate sources, because there's a crazy amount of young Paladin story out there. So I've been putting that into kind of a novella. So that's a future CIC update. Yeah, and actually, I was kind of the same on Star Citizen. Chris originally had George Olzier as a composer and switched him out. He's very sensitive to getting the music right, I guess.
Well, George got the last laugh with his multiple Wing Commander albums of great success.
Yeah, he's been so good with the community. I wish we had more of that. Oh, that's one we should shout out for this last year is the zine music releases. They put out officially licensed albums from Wing Commander 2 and Academy, and they're great. They have so much research done, like more music than you've ever heard. Just he went back to the artists and the composers and got all their source material when they could. It's a really cool, absolutely worthwhile collection of music. And
there's streaming samplings available on
yes.
their official YouTube account, so you can even listen to it. You don't even have to buy it, although they're available to purchase.
You can stream, I think, almost all of that. And if you do their Patreon, they've got some other music that they were not able to put in the album, like the Karathi Saga versions of stuff. So, worth checking out. You know, give them the $5 for a month at least. Well, anybody out there have any questions? We're happy to talk about nothing for hours, I guess.
Love all the different Super Wing Commander cutscenes that went up today. That's its own afternoon checking all those out.
Oh, yeah, so that is kind of cool. A lot of people haven't seen those because so many people who have played Super Wing Commander just a little bit, you know, they saw the intro and they played the first mission kind of like we did today. But we went ahead and extracted everything and reconstructed it from the graphics. You know, I didn't link it, but I've got the full res ones on the CIC for folks. And you can see how they did the cutscenes. In the original Wing Commander, I think it was one mid-game every 2 series, sometimes 3 if you happen to go sideways, but every 2 layers of the game. So you ended up having 4 of them. For Super Wing Commander, they cut it down, so they only have 2 mid-games in the original campaign, which will fly, I think, after the 3rd and 6th series. The first one is an attack on a Bengal carrier, which is inexplicably named the Exeter. But it's just a cool space battle. If you're winning, the Karathi attack and are defeated. If you're not winning, you actually get a much cooler cutscene where you see them destroy the carrier. And Prince Rakath shows in there. You can barely even hear it in the actual game because the game engine plays the music so loud over the dialogue. But we're running it without the dialogue, so you can hear that the Karathi pilot that's strafing the ship is saying it's Prince Rakath. The second mid-game is Superman Commander's version of the attack on Brimstone, but it's done with ships instead of seeing the Marines in their red berets. So you see a little Confed fleet, in the winning version, you see a little Confed fleet do a strike on the ground, and it looks like a Command and Conquer Red Alert cutscene. And then the Karathi version is a Karathi transport full of missiles making it through the blockade and getting it to the planet. And the thing that's astounding about that to me is that it matches the lore exactly. Somebody actually went through and played those series and said, oh, the background in the briefing is Colonel Halcyon talking about how they're trying to get missile transports in. But they make no big deal about this at all, and you can't even hear the dialogue in the game. But it's all intended to be go right with the briefings that come before it. And so it's kind of unfortunate that they didn't get to do more than those 2 variable mid-games. But then they have the end game itself. You blow up the Karathi Star Post, and it triggers a cutscene of your ship flying back to the Tiger Claw. And it's, in the grand tradition of interactive Wing Commander cutscenes, it is variable, depending on which of your wingmen have died in the campaign. So if none have died, it's just Bossman who dies in the plot, and you get some line about how he's trained you so well and you're going to do great. But you can have every single wingman die, and you hear from their ghost on your way back, which is great. Some of them are ridiculous. Angel is something like, I could have loved you. It's a great origin cutscene. And there's a couple more in there. We've got all the landings and takeoffs and the different damage states. If you go into the game and watch, you can see how they kind of... The videos are very cut up into segments. So if you watched when we were playing earlier, we saw that you got in the spacesuit and you got in like this sled, and it raised the sled into the ship. And that's also, they could have a single cutscene with the sled for all the way getting up into the ship, and then everything that happens after you get out of the ship. So the scene where your tech guy tells you how damaged you are there's only one of those, but there's 5 different ships that can get you to that. And then the jump sequences, which Sebastian just mentioned. There's a unique one for each system, at least in dialogue. And then they use as an intro for the 2 campaigns. They have special ones where you see a whole fleet. It's like Task Force Delta leaving or something. So I don't know, they're all neat artifacts.
Grim has a question. What would you say is the best way to play Super Wing Commander right now?
Well, you shouldn't ask me. If you look what a poor job I just did. The best way to play Super Wing Commander is using an emulator that works. So your best bet on the PC... I mean, the easiest way to play Super Wing Commander accurately right now is to do the 3DO version, which is the original version, and it's not cut down in any way. It's just a little bit more awkward to control because you're using the equivalent of a game controller instead of a keyboard. But there are perfect 3DO emulators. There's one called Phoenix that does it just right. There's some horrible process you have to go through because apparently the world's greatest 3DO emulator is exclusively in Russian. So you have to get the Phoenix Russian emulator, and then you have to use a translation patch from somebody else. But once you do that, you can do 3DO stuff pretty well. And Super Wing Commander, that may be how we end up playing it. If we could get it to work, the emulator for Mac is called Basilisk 2. And I suspect we can figure it out. I bet there is some old Mac utility equivalent of Moslo or something we can figure out. But I will update on that as we go. But that should be the way to play a 68K Mac game. The problem is that Super Wing Commander exists in this weird line between there were like classic Mac games for like the original Mac, the Mac Pro, and so on, and they're all monochrome. There's an Ultima port. Those are kind of like the original Mac games that everybody knows and loves, and they have figured out a way to play them with, it's an emulator called something like Mac 2 VLC or something. It's not actually called that, but it's something similar. But the problem is it's all emulating a monochrome Mac. You can't do 256 color Super Wing Commander, even though that's roughly the speed you want. So you have to use Basilisk and have to figure out how to slow it down. But we're going to do it. We're going to figure it out. And what I'd love to do is get the joystick and everything working with that too. Because, the Mac supported joystick throttle. It supported the rudder pedals too, but I think the Super Wing Commander did not. My ideal way to play Super Wing Commander is actual hardware. I use a Mac 7300. I have about 4 of them now. They've never paid more than $100 for one, but I've been keeping one together, salvaging the others. And I use an actual Thrustmaster and a weapon control system, so that's a great experience. As I mentioned earlier, I think Dunderdog gave me my ADB throttle for that, which is great. So yeah, that's the best way. Those are the 3 ways I know of. And ideally, we'll get an emulated version that's the right speed, and no one will ever have to think about it again.
I know it's not on the topic of where we're focusing tonight, but I still hold out a lot of hope for the Wing Commander Arena emulation. When we can get that emulated and multiplayer stuff gets figured out.
Yeah, and I'm pretty confident that will happen. In fact, there's an emulator right now you can load it. There's an Xbox 360 emulator that will load the game fine now. It's such a simple game in terms of requirements, and it's so structurally supported. It's a existing engine. The problem, I think, is going to be the XBLA backend.
Yeah.
But the good news about that is that it's universal. So if there's even one XBLA game that people have to preserve, and there are so many classic XBLA games, the work they do for that will make Arena possible. So I worry a lot about games disappearing. I've kind of made my peace with other communities, watching the Ultimate community let their online games disappear, the Command and Conquer community let theirs disappear. And I'm looking at this stuff I wish there was a Wing Commander version of Lord of Ultima, or the Command and Conquer iPhone game, or the Pogo shooter, or whatever. And that stuff is all gone, and I worry about that for Wing Commander. Luckily, Arena is the one edge case right now, and I think it's going to be fine. I think people are going to figure it out.
I'm looking at I think it was the Xenia editor, or emulator, and I don't fully understand it, but I see some stuff from July 8th, July 10th of this year that seems to show it's functional gameplay. Now I assume it's the offline modes, but
yeah, I think you can go in there and you can play the Meteor Battle and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, your drink looks crazy with the background. It kind of disappears when you lift it up.
Oh, it's invisible.
Yeah. We meant it that way. Professional production all around.
I'm just impressed with myself that I got this Wing Commander background thing going.
I'm impressed with myself. I'm still awake. Oh, Dunderdoll's here. Hey, Dunderdoll. He's in YouTube chat. Well, anybody out there have any questions? You want me to read a tiny book about Freddie Prinze Jr.? You want me to hug the Moopsie again? What are we doing here?
hell?
Anybody want to go on a Wing Commander road trip? They've got some Privateer Online documentation in a museum in upstate New York. If anybody wants to go check that out, give me a call.
Yeah, I sometimes think about the level of hardware that we once assembled to go do those trips, and like the fact when they could get a terabyte into a hard drive, that was like crazy. And now you can get 4 terabytes in a tiny little thing for cheap, and we could you got all kinds of mobile camera stuff. Just your phone has so much more recording capability than we once had, and could
Livid Liquid asked if Ultima Online closed down. No. There was a much stupider Ultima game called Lord of Ultima, which was a browser game when EA was super into browser games 10, 12 years ago. That closed down, and Ultima Forever, their long and painfully born iPad iPhone game, there was a Ultima 4 update, got shut down, and nobody cared. I would love to preserve that in some way. Luckily, we got the Wing Commander screenshot. Okay, AD says, you did watch my extra long version. What were your overall impressions? I mean, I'm not a good person to judge the extra long version of the Wing Commander. I love it. I think it's a fantastic thing. You did such an amazing job on it, but it's also slop for the hogs, so I can't be a very even person saying, oh, this is a perfect movie experience. This is a good, narrative works. I have so much Wing Commander movie in my head, so I can't really separate from that. But I thought it was spectacular. We'll see if my dad ever accidentally watches it and what he thinks. Targ Without Heart is headed out. Good night.
We have a question. Leah's asking, what's the Wing Commander 4 patch under the Karathi mask behind Loaf?
Oh, you can see better than I do. Let's see. Oh, okay.
That is like the uniform shoulder patch. Is that right?
It's the uniform shoulder patch, but it's the big one that is on the bag, Blair's bag. He has like a shoulder bag and has a big confit patch on it. That's from that. But yeah, it is the Terran Federation Space Force. It's the same design as the shoulder patch that was used in Wing 3 and 4. Oh, Ace is ready to go to the privateer thing, so let's do it. I'm switching from chat to chat. I guess I should look at our own news archive to try to remember what happened last year. I know we've done some good posts, though. I've really been kind of embracing nonsense I can't imagine anyone else care about. Like we did one the other day that's just the taglines in the Wing Commander movie novels that didn't get carried over to the ebooks. And I started thinking about them because I remember that one of them was a Manzin reference for Action Stations. I couldn't find it anywhere online. I realized it's only in the physical ebook. That's another one I'm working on. For so many years, it's just been the dogma that Wing Commander stole the Kzinti. And I think it's time to look at what that actually means. Because so much of what people think of as the Kzinti right now is not Wing Commander. It is stuff that came after Wing Commander. The Zin in 1990 were a pretty different idea. So I'm trying to put together that and show from all the angles. There's the Star Trek version, there's Larry Niven's version, there's Bayan's version for the Manzin War books, but there were only 2 of those when Wing Commander came out. And a lot of the stuff, it's an interesting study, but it's taking forever to get together.
Well, I thought the front page snippets that you archived, like, I love that stuff so much, and I'm glad we've got it.
I heard from a random person finally. Somebody sent an anonymous message thanking me for this kind of update, and I was like, "Oh, that's great! I didn't know anyone liked these." I'm very insecure. It's just fun to take something and think it through. Like I did all this research on the Cyber Mage comic book, which was just something I'd always wondered about, because at the time they said there was going to be a Cyber Mage comic too, and I ended up finding this crazy story about how the people that were publishing the Cyber Mage comic gave it up because they became an ISP, and then that ISP was the first one ever to stream a theatrical movie online. So there's all this crazy these stories out there for anybody to find them. And it's been great doing the movie club stuff, because we take, I do a report afterwards that we do kind of go in depth and like, what does this have to do with Wing Commander, and what else can we talk about? So I've been having a fun time with those.
So many you bring a movie in because of a specific thing, but I don't know, in like a quarter or half of the movies, we found unknown, unanticipated references to things, unintentional linkages that are very cool.
Oh, you know what I can do here is bring up Chrome so we can see the actual website as I scroll through it. Like these are ads for End Run and Fleet Action that I had never seen until last month, and that's so cool that there's stuff out there you can discover. And there's, we know what the cover to End Run looks like. Although even then, we found out who the actual author, and that's kind of a crazy story. That might have been the year before, but we've realized that the cover to End Run is not the person it's credited to in the novel. It's actually it's actually the artist that did the Honor Harrington and the Animorphs covers. And through some crazy coincidence, he happened to be my sister's mentor when she was in art school. So she knew him, and we figured out the whole story, and he started selling these super nice copies of the art on his website, and there's still these Wing Commander threads to follow in crazy places. It's great.
I'm just looking for a way to insert the phrase "soil words from a soft Kilrathi mouth."
No, I love this copy so much. It's ridiculous. And I've started archiving fan art when I can find it. So just look at this beautiful Privateer 2 art that I think I saw at the time, and I didn't even appreciate how cool it was. But somebody has done some astounding work to Star Citizenize Privateer 2 ships. It's beautiful stuff. And like here we did Star Trek 3 only because the Privateer art notes, the directions for the artist said base Perry Naval Base, or MacArthur Naval Base at the time, base it on the big space station from Star Trek 3. Or it's in a bunch of Star Trek movies, but it was made for Star Trek 3. So we got to go and learn how it was made, who designed it. We got to see all these high-res pictures of it in the movie and compare it to Privateer. It's just cool stuff. It's just an excuse to talk about this stuff, and it's great. Oh, this was my favorite story recently. Somebody reached out to me through that anonymous contact form on Blue Sky, pointing out that the transport captains in Wing Commander 2 are taken from Ultima 6, yeah. Which is crazy. I had never noticed that. I've played Ultima 6 extensively and never put that together. And I think if you look at them here, it's because you think it's a bald guy from the Wing Commander 2 view, and it's actually a guy with long hair. And the same with the other one. She doesn't... The green really takes it away. You don't see your eyes anymore. Anyway. And, we only did that because I was looking at the names of the different transports in Wing Commander 2, and I was like, well, let's do an article about where they all come from, because they're so unique. It's not just like USS Military Warboat. It's crazy stuff. And so I did this big article about that, and somebody was all excited about that. It's just great how we build on this stuff. And if anybody out there wants to be part of this kind of nonsense, reach out to me. I am the most shy guy in the world. I am so afraid to interact with anyone. I'm so afraid to impose with anybody about this stuff. I know this is my crazy thing, and I worry about putting it on anyone else. But if anybody else is the same way out there, who's, you know, a shy guy who wants to talk about Wing Commander and do crazy stuff with it, reach out to me. I will be your friend. We all need more friends these days.
Sebastian has a question.
Cool. That's better than listening to me.
What the design for the Tarawa on the end run cover, was it an original design for the book, or was it based on some kind of unused game asset?
Well, I mean, it's based on the Concordia from Wing Commander 2. Is probably, you know, if we're honest, he took Wing Commander 2 and did a variant of it. But no, there was no like internal. The Tarawa should look like this. In fact, one thing we noticed getting a super high-res version, take me a minute to find this, but you could actually see the Intrepid in the background when you zoom in. I always thought it was just like wreckage or something, but you can zoom in and see the destroyer.
Oh.
There we go. Okay, so here is the original end run cover painting. By the way, I remember when this sold for $2,000 on WoW Art in 1998, and I was so jealous of whoever got it, and I still am. So you could. This is so cool close up. I'm so amazed that we have this now. But
I never noticed there was another ship.
Yeah, there's another ship right down here.
Back there.
Yeah, and you can see.
You're gonna have to zoom a little. You're gonna have to go down a little bit because your VDU is blocking the.
Let's see. It's
there. It is.
There it is.
You're...
So you can see. You can see he has looked at the Wing Commander 2 artwork and said, okay, the signature part of the human ships is these like fork life prows. So he's given one to the destroyer and one to the Tarawa. But there's so much detail in here that no one was ever going to see in a novel cover. Like, look at this Karathi ship, and you can see where it came from. It's not quite a Dralthi, but it's taken right from the Wing Commander 1 Dralthi. You know, it's got the skull logo and the lines like the original Dralthi. This is a...
It really is a fantastic piece of art. Like, you know, there's just like... Also, there's like different types of weapons being shot.
Yeah, this is an accurate saber cockpit. Here you can see his credit, Mattingly 93, so it does not match what's in the book at all. I don't know how this happened. This is Bane. And you can see it's a PC style joystick too. It's a Thrustmaster or something. Looks like an FCS. There's a K-Mech over here in the corner. It's a cool piece of
on
art.
The VDU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was gonna say it looks like he's targeting something that's not even on the screen.
Yeah, it's not on the screen. But that's the kind of thing we do here at WCNews.com. We find stories, and we take these little bits and we turn them into something for everybody, I hope. Speaking of, so the patch, I can't remember if it's Wing 4. I think it is Wing Commander 4, but I think Casey might have one in Wing Commander Prophecy also. I'll have to check. AD says he was going to look up the False Colors artist yesterday. Yeah, False Colors is a different artist entirely. And you can tell they just looked at the Wing Commander 3 key art. And, there's no Excalibur and False Colors. Well, do you think we should wrap it up, or?
Yeah, I think we hit. We this was the target time that I expected us to wrap up, and I think we went through all the stuff that we needed to hit. So,
all right, well,
good stuff.
Yeah, we've exactly accomplished what we set out to do. But I would like to end by saying thank you to everybody out there who has been so supportive this year, who has helped make the Wing Commander community such a good place. I always worry that there's this barrier to entry, or you have to know what people think they have to know Wing Commander to be part of this group, but really you just have to be a good person. You're welcome to hang out with us if you played no Wing Commander games or if you played 100 Wing Commander games. It's just a good community, and everybody has always been that way, and I really appreciate it. I guess a hard year. We had all sorts of medical stuff here. It's been a fight, but we're doing okay, and there's so many moments of joy that come specifically from this group of people and from spending time to think about Wing Commander and just pull at these strings and develop these articles for the CIC. I want to do more, and I'm going to do more. It's going to be good.
Yeah,
and more streaming this year. We're going to do All Wings Considered to do Super Wing Commander this year.
Yeah, and another plug for the movie club. That's very easy to drop in and just hang out.
Yeah, we have absolutely no. We want to hear from anybody. You don't have to know about Wing Commander. You don't have to know about movies. It's just fun to watch a movie and talk with everybody. And it's been such a nice grounding thing in all this chaos. All right. Well, I'm going to end the stream unless Chris has a message or anything.
I think you said it great. Yeah, this was a lot of fun, and looking forward to more stuff soon.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to be doing another one of these streams to play the first series of Super Wing Commander in the next couple weeks. We're going to be doing a secret stream at some point to share the Wing Commander movie that AD has been working on, and we'll have all sorts of other stuff coming up. But we really appreciate you all. I want to do as much as I can for the Wing Commander community, and I will. See you guys in 5 minutes on IRC, Discord, whatever.
All right. Thanks for coming to the party.